This is DNN Dave. Hope everybody's doing great today. I wanted to come with you. Let's start that again. I want to come to you today and talk about a performance tip that you can do for DNN. This is pretty much a staple in our tool belt for DNN sites to keep it running quickly and efficiently, and it's really easy to do, and a lot of people just don't know about this. So let's dive right into the title slide here. This is a performance tip on how to automate the cleanup of your admin logs and the shrinking of your database. So it is fantastic. I don't know if I'm having some buffering issues or not here, but if I am, I apologize. It seems like YouTube may be having some issues here. Either that or my bandwidth is having some issues. So I will jump right into a screen share here, and hopefully all this is coming through okay. If not, I'll redo this live stream. No big deal. Hey, if you like the content that I'm bringing to you for YouTube live streams, let me know in the comments below if there's things that you want me to cover that you're interested in, you want to know more about. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the little notifications bell there so that you'll get notified when there's future live streams. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to go over to a site from our friends over at Iowa Computer Gurus. That's iowacomputergurus.com. And we won't spend too much time on the site, but I wanted to let you know how to find this tool that we're going to be using. It's under their marketplace, open source products. Yep, this is open source and free for you to use. So I'm going to scroll down. I believe it's about the third one on their list here. It's called Scheduled SQL Jobs for DNN and Evoke. Yeah, this works in DNN Platform as well as Evoke. So feel free to use it. There's a link here to the Github Repo where you can find this and download it. And there's also a link to an admin guide for this. I think the admin guide is a little bit outdated, but it still will get you through and help you understand a little bit more in detail of how this module works and how it can benefit your DNN site. So let's go over to the GitHub repo here. This is the same location that you'll get to when you click on that link. And you can go over to the releases section in here. If you want to know a little bit more about the project and everything, there's a nice README file here that covers some of the features and why this was really created. And this has been around for quite some time, and it's recently been updated so that it'll work with later versions of DNN. You may be familiar, if you've been around in the DNN community for a while, that used to it was fairly easy to clean up your admin logs, or what used to be called the event logs, by just truncating that table or truncating a portion of it and leaving a certain amount of records in there. But things changed, I think, along, when was it? DNN 7. Maybe 7.2, don't hold me to that, but somewhere along there, maybe it was 7.4, where the table structure and so forth got a little bit more complicated, and I think there's a total of like 3 tables that are involved in that now. So it's not quite as simple as running a SQL command there to truncate the table, but over time in your DNN site, your admin logs will grow. And if you do not have a way to automate the cleanup of that, either through a maintenance task on SQL Server, if you're familiar with all that, or through something like this tool, the site will really start to suffer a bit from performance degradation. So keeping that admin logs clean and not too full will keep your site performing really well. And then also your database for DNN can grow depending on your configuration and how you have things set up. That could really get out of hand if you have things, a certain way on SQL Server for those databases. And I've seen it over and over where databases get bloated with either a lot of tran logs or just a lot of logging information, or site search history and things like that. And that can also impact the performance of your website. So we're just going to go over this incredible tool here that we can install in any DNN site, and it will keep things clean for us. So if you go over to the releases tab here, you'll see the latest releases, version 8.0.5 at the time of this live stream. And you can see the install package right here in the assets sections of that release. Now I've already downloaded that, and I have that on a folder here on my drive. I've got an older version as well here, and there is the admin guide that you're welcome to dig into as well, and that's linked again off of the Iowa Computer Gurus website. So I have installed a local instance of DNN 7.2.1, and I have it up and running here. So what we're going to do is I'll just walk you through what we do when we set up a new site and we want to just really set this up for a regular schedule and to kind of wipe our hands clean, and we know that behind the scenes the admin logs are keeping clean and the database size is not getting out of hand. So let's go over to settings and extensions, and we're going to install a new extension. Now I can just pull up my Windows Explorer here, and I'll just drag this latest version into there. And we'll click next, and this is version 8.0.5. Yep, we're looking good. We'll go next and next, and we'll accept the license, go next. And now it has been installed. We don't have any errors, so that's good. So now that we have the module, after the page refreshes here, we'll see it showing up in our list of installed extensions right down here. It's SQL Schedule Jobs. I'm sorry, Scheduled SQL Jobs. Boy, I am just tongue-tied tonight. Anyways, you gotta love live. I used to try to restart these things when I made a flub, but I was like, you know what, it's live. So we're keeping it raw. Okay, so we've got the module installed. Now let's go and put it onto a page. Now one thing I like to do, and you may or may not know this little trick, but there is a way that you can add a page to the site and it'll automatically show up here in your persona bar. And I like to put it right in the manage section here. And the way that we do that is this. Let's go to the content pages, and we're going to add a new page. And I like to call this Scheduled SQL Jobs. And we're going to leave the permissions as just administrators. You may want to create a role just for people that are going to manage this and give them view access to it, so that you don't get the admin banner kind of warning stuff there, or wrapper warning around that, or info box. I shouldn't be saying warning, sorry. Info box around that to let you know that it's admin only. But we'll scroll down and we'll let the parent page, and this is the trick to get it to show up in the persona bar. We want to select admin as our parent page. So now we can just add page. And of course DNN will send us right to that new page. And when it reloads here, I'll show you in the persona bar where this is showing up. Okay, so over here now under manage, we have a new page. And that is really just a redirect to this page. There's a couple of other pages within the persona bar that do the same kind of thing, and that's site assets and global assets. So that's actually how those got there as well. They're just pages that are they're a child of admin. So let's see here. Now that we're on the page, let's go ahead and add a module, and we'll add the Scheduled SQL Jobs module to the page. And we'll just drop that right in here at the top. And I'm going to get rid of this module here. So now that we have done that, this is what this looks like. Now the first thing that you're going to want to do, this module leverages a scheduled job in DNN, which all your scheduled jobs are over here in settings and scheduler. But we need to actually, okay, we installed the extension, but that job doesn't get created automatically. So Mitch Sellers and his team over at Iowa Computer Gurus have done a great job here of having a little button here that will help you install that scheduled job right away. So we're just going to click that first. And that's all there is to it. Now the scheduled job exists, and we could actually go over into the scheduler and look, and we'll see that job in there. But we're going to hold that off. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible here. So the two things that we want to do here, just as a reminder, is we want to keep our admin logs clean. And now by clean, what I mean is there's a couple of job types that are in here for this solution, and depending on your particular environment and how you want it to behave, you may choose a little bit different approach to this. But what we like to do is keep the most current 7 days of logs. So we're going to use a clean job for that. And there's also a job to purge or truncate or get rid of completely the admin logs. And you may want to do that, but we find that it's helpful to have the 7 most recent days of logs because we may need to troubleshoot something if something happens, or somebody's unable to log in or whatever. There's a plethora of things that could be in a log that you might find helpful and you want to be able to get to. So let's go ahead and add that job first. We'll add a new job, and you'll notice the job types in here. We're going to be focusing on the clean event log, and don't be thrown off by the name event log here. That's the old name for the admin logs. And then there's a clear admin logs, and I think this one just didn't get updated. I might even make a pull request to try to help that out, but to make that more clear there. But we've got a clean one and we've got a clear one. Clear is going to just get rid of it completely. It's going to wipe out all the records in the admin log set of tables. And then clean is going to keep the 7 most recent days. So let's go ahead and choose that one for the first one. And each of these have a recommendation for how frequently it needs to be used and so forth. And this one here, what we like to do is about every 12 to 24 hours. It really depends on your site. If it's a small site, doesn't get a whole lot of traffic or activity, then you may want to make it every 24 hours or every 1 day. But in a more busy site, you may want to do that more often. And keep it there. So, in a day, you might get way too many logs and you just want to keep it as clean as possible. So you might want to use 12 hours instead of 24 or 1 day. So I'll go ahead and put 1 day in here, and you can change the frequency to hours, days, or weeks. So we'll choose day on this one. And that's really all we need to do. Let's save it. And now our job shows up in the table here. We can edit that job, we can look at the history of all the times that it has run, and we'll look at that in just a minute, or we can actually manually run it anytime we want to. So if you have a really hectic few hours or something because of some issue that's going on the site and you really kind of want to keep things clean up, you can come in here and execute it manually and run it. Okay, let's go ahead and set the other job up, and then we'll look at what these are doing after that. So the other job is we want to shrink our database on a regular basis. So the only other, we talked about clear just a bit and what that does, but the other two that are in here are clean and truncate or clear site log. And this is a different set of tables. If you happen to have that enabled in DNN and you're keeping track of site logs, it's kind of like a little analytics type thing that's built into DNN. By default, that's off. So unless you're using that feature, you won't need these two jobs. But if you are using that feature, you might find these two jobs helpful as well. But for right now, we're going to choose shrink database. And the recommendation here is to only do this about 1 time per week. So we'll go ahead and follow the recommendations. Again, if this is a small site, not a whole lot of traffic, you may want to do it once every 2 weeks. But for our demo here, we'll do the frequency of 1 week. Okay, and we'll save that. Now we have 2 jobs in here, and the first one really has probably already run. We will take a look at the history and see if it has run. Okay, it looks like it has not. And if we look at our next run here, it looks like it's going to be at 6:34. Well, it looks like it's about time for that to run. We could wait for that to run and look at the history again. or we can go ahead and just kick it off manually. Let's go ahead and kick it off manually, but first, let's look at the admin logs here in the persona bar. I've got 37 results in here, and the unfortunate thing is this is a clean install that I just did a little bit ago, so we don't have 7 days of history in here, so it's going to be kind of hard for us to see how that actually works. So I may just come in, add another job here and do the clean one just to show you, but looks like it's 6:35 now. Let's see if it has run yet. And it has not. Let's go ahead and trigger it the first time and run it. Okay, so it's triggered, and we can go to history and see that it has indeed run, and it didn't affect any rows in the set of tables because we don't have more than 7 days of history here. So we can also go and look at the scheduler here, and we can see the scheduler has a new job here, and again, another slight, I don't know if you call it a bug or it's just something that's missing really. There is no task name associated with it, but this one that is blank on the task name is it. The way that you know is if you go into edit, you can see that this is ICG IOComputerGurus.modules.SQL scheduled SQL Jobs namespace here. So this is the job runner for that. So you could actually put a name in here, and I like to do that just to be able to see which one is that one. So scheduled SQL Jobs, and we'll click update. And if we go and we look at the history of this one, we'll see that it does have a history, and it's run actually a couple times now. So it fired right at the beginning, and we just didn't see it in the list of the history. So that might be something that could be looked into in module 2. But when you first install it, it looks like it doesn't show that history until the next time it's run. But from that point forward, it does show the history in there, so we should be good. But you can see at least what has happened for this, and it's not as detailed as the history that is on the module, but that is where that actually occurs. Now, this is just the scheduled job to run any jobs that you have configured in the module. So you don't get that level of granularity like you do in the module because you've got multiple jobs that are being run in this scheduled job that's kind of like, all of them. So it won't be a one-to-one matching. So just to give you a little bit of insight there, but in the history here, you'll see, okay, it has kicked off again there. Our manual intervention probably wasn't the wise idea there, but it should run again in 1 day. If we return to the list, we should see that the next one, okay, clean event log. Yeah, it doesn't show the next day, so we might have to do something like 24 hours. Okay, yeah. Again, there might be a small little bug there, but it looks like our next run is now scheduled for tomorrow at 6:36, so 24 hours from there. So that's good. And then the shrink database has a similar experience, and it looks like it has ran already. And it did shrink the database just a bit there. So we could actually look at our database size, here in the servers, database, and we could have seen the size before it all ran, and then after it ran, you would see that it may have freed up a bit of space there. So that's how that works. Now we can just leave this alone, and this will run on the scheduled basis that we configure it for, and you can rest assured that your site is running really well. Now, just to show you that this does indeed work of cleaning out the admin logs, let's go and let's add a new job. Since this is a new site, let's do a clear admin logs, and we'll do this same thing, 24 hours. Now you probably wouldn't want to do both of these jobs, but I'm just doing this to be able to run it manually here this one time. And you can do, let's see, truncate. If we go ahead and run it now, then it has run. We can look at the history of it, and it did affect some rows there. Let's go and look and see our admin logs now. We might have to reload the page actually. So reload the page, and voila, all of our admin logs have been clear. Now you could obviously come in here and manually come to here and then click clear logs, But if this is bloated and you have a ton of records in there, you may find, depending on your hardware configuration, how much memory you have and all that, this may time out on you and may not even work. So it is actually really good to, as soon as you set a site up, go ahead and install this module and get it configured. That way that you don't have to worry about it getting too big for it to even handle a clear log. So that's actually one of the beautiful things about this. So I highly recommend it. Go check it out and get them installed on your sites and see how much performance benefit is shown to you on that. So be sure to let me know what your experience is in the comments below. I'm really interested in this, and if anybody wants to contribute to this project, again, it's out on GitHub on the Iowa Computer Gurus organization, and it's DNN.scheduled jobs. So you can check it out and see how it's going. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this truncate one here just to show you how easy it is to manage these jobs. And voila, it's gone. Now we just have our clean log and our shrink database, and they're set up for the appropriate schedule. So hope you've enjoyed this. Hope it's been helpful to you, and I hope you have a great week. Happy DNNing.